Hey everybody, it's Tara here from Beyond This Reality, and today I wanted to come on and talk to you parent to parent. And so if you're not a parent, this might not be for you. And yet I'm fully aware that there are some people who are preparing to be parents or even are parents to kids that are not their own. So I'm speaking to all of you. Anybody who has the energy of parent and children who are coming into their life or are in your life, this is for you. Being a parent is not always easy. Do you feel me? It's something also that we're never really prepared for. There is no true school for parenting. The way that we were parented can't exist anymore. For one thing, the world is a totally different place. And two, the children that are being born into this age and time as a collective are totally different, but also our children are totally different. We're totally different than who our parents were. So we can't operate under the same patterns as they did. And even the same things that worked for us may not work for them, right? So what in the world do you do? Like, what in the world do you do? We're also operating in a totally different experience and world, as in most people have, a lot of people going in different directions, whether it's two people working or one person working and the other person who's going from activity to activity to activity. The amount of activities that the kids are in these days is very different. So if you're not prepared, and if you don't know how, and it's really hard, and there's all kinds of moving wheels and functions and all this kind of stuff that are going on in your life, how in the world do you support your children as well as yourself, as well as your spouse, in a way that allows for wholeness, allows for empowerment, allows for connection and fulfillment? How do you do that? Well, that is what I have made my entire life about, and my entire career, and what I do as an offering is all about the how. How do you do that? And in a way that is truly honoring of all parties. And the other piece is in a way that is not hard. And it's not something that you're constantly thinking, okay, I have to do this. Like, when you learn something, this is what I want to give you. When you learn something and it's from outside of you and it's possibly somebody else's roadmap, you have to stop yourself and go, am I doing it right? Well, that's not something that any of us need to do. And we don't want to be constantly judging ourselves. Like, am I going to do the right thing here? Is this right? We want to come from our own internal guidance map, as well as being tapped in and turned on to what our children and everyone else needs, which sounds insanely complicated and difficult. But I can promise you this, it's the most natural thing that you will ever do. Once you learn how to do it, it comes as if by ease and like breathing. I just had a client who said to me after we had a group session, and in that session we did an intuitive body process. And she said to me, gosh, just rattling off, yesterday was an A+ day. Like, it was amazing. I went into different situations where I would normally get rattled, feel anxious, not know what to do, and even resonate at the same level of tension and anxiety, or tension and anger that other people were at, which is not my normal space of being. That didn't happen, not at all. I totally loved being in that group scenario. Things were wonderful with my kids. We just flowed. And she's like, and I never went, took the time to make sure that, my attitude was right. I was expanded. I didn't do any of those things, Tara. That's what she says to me. And I'm like, yes, That's absolutely true, because you became the embodiment of your natural space of awareness and your natural space of being, so that in all those situations you flow and you are the most expanded, connected, joyful space that you naturally are. Like, you're your own expression. So sometimes when I bring up joy, like, I'm aware that people have this idea of what joy looks like for someone else, and they go, I can't be that. Cool. Don't be it. It doesn't need to look on you what it looks like on somebody else. And how many times are you also aware that it's not even somebody else's authentic expression of joy, right? Or connection, whatever it is. All that being said, isn't it time to honor the fact that we all struggle in being a parent? We struggle, and yet there is a deep desire and intent to support our kids in a way that possibly we felt like we weren't supported and we weren't seen and we weren't heard when we were children, and that we don't want to pass on the need for our children to be healed from our parenting. And please hear me when I say this. I am not in any way dishonoring our parents. They were just as desirous and intending to do good to us. And it broke their hearts at times the way that they reacted in ways that they didn't want to, whether it was through anxiety, pressure, anger, whatever. And sometimes it was just their depression that loomed over them, that pulled them from us. I have a deep, deep compassion for my own parents. And I mean, I endured a lot of trauma. I mean, so much so that I moved out of my house where my dad and my stepmom lived when I was 15 years old. It's my sophomore year. I moved out and I never went back. You know, I went and I lived with my one grandma, and then the next year, my junior year, I lived with my aunt and my cousin and my uncle at a totally different high school. And then I moved on, and I went to my dad's mom, my other grandma. Like, I kept moving because there was no way I could go back to the emotional, the mental, and even the physical abuse that I was enduring, and the manipulation and the jealousy and the pain. And yet I can tell you from the bottom of my heart and the deepest parts of my knowing that the trauma that I endured was never intended. It came out of a sense of disconnection and pain that my stepmom felt. And it was almost a survival mechanism that was happening. And honestly, from every part of my being, it was not intended. And yet, I honor the fact that I still endured trauma. And yet, I know, as being a parent, this is one of the hardest things ever. And to come in as a step parent, I mean, she came in when I was 1 and endured a whole lot of trauma when my dad got full custody of me from my mom, who was also enduring her own trauma. And my dad got full custody because she was an alcoholic that at times was just off the chain. And again, it's not what she intended. She never intended for me to be traumatized. She never intended for anyone to be. So many people are barely making it by. And becoming a parent sometimes is a traumatic experience in itself, and it's overwhelming, and you feel the immensity of your incapacities, I don't know what that word is at the moment, incapability of showing up in a way that you desire to, and nobody around you has the answer. I want to say I do have the answer. I have the answer that will make you feel fulfilled in that relationship, that will honor who you are, how you show up, and it will also honor your child, and it will also honor your spouse and every moving factor that's happening in your life. And you don't have to remain a victim to what trauma happened in your past. You don't have to pass it on. Like, wouldn't it be an amazing thing? Like, I believe that the people who are listening right now are doing everything possible not to hand on their own destructive patterns, as well as any trauma they took. They're like, the buck stops with me. However, I'm also aware that there's not enough power and tools to pull the fulfillment forward and to pull the ease forward that you desire to have in parenting your child. And I'm also guessing that you have a child who is super special. And I mean super special in the way that they're like testing your your capacities at the utmost level. They might be super sensitive, highly emotional, hyper energy, even closing down because they can't speak the things that they know and they know from in here. And you want to support them, but they're pulling out of you the parts of you that you have been controlling all of your life, and they're asking you to move out of that place of control into a space of full wholeness, healing the fractures that are still there, and a space of authenticity that you've been longing for since birth. And your child or your children, maybe multiple of them, have come in inviting you into that space, and not just inviting, but they are demanding it. And you can do it. You absolutely can do it. And it doesn't have to be hard. It can be one of the most expansive, fulfilling, meaningful experiences of your life. And I know from spirit and from my own energy work that I'm receiving with the person I'm working with, it is time for me to invite as many people as possible into this work, because you don't need to suffer anymore. There is your own blueprint, and that is what we tap into in the intuitive body process and also in intuitive coaching. Like, it comes up and out of your body. Your body has a language, and I have this crazy, amazing ability to hear it, and it's yours. It's not my path, but there is a way that you can access what's going on and how you can show up in your own life that will create way more ease and will create a foundation for your children to springboard into a way of being the fullness of them without having to go through so much adversity or trauma. We really don't have to give this next generation the prescription that greatness only comes through adversity. Yes, absolutely. We can pull greatness and we can pull compassion from our adversity, but it is not required. I know people who did not go through the trauma or the adversity that I did, and they have beautiful hearts, and they are showing up in this world in a compassionate way, and they are leading people. It is not required. Yes, you might have, I did. I know so many of the people that I work with went through trauma, but let's create a foundation that our children can learn from us. And if they go through it, that they can pull the power out of it immediately. They can change their experience immediately. Let me help you to help yourself, and also let me help you to show you the power that you can lay out for your kids and allow them to choose it in their own way. So they will create their own path forward. And as we heal ourselves, we are this ripple effect that happens and like keeps going out, and it does touch the 7 billion plus other people. It really, really does. So you matter. Your struggle matters. Your intention and your desires to be the best possible parent in the world matters. And the healing that you do also goes up and it heals your parent that wished somebody would had come around when they were being a parent and said, it's possible to do it a different way, and you can matter in it, and the pain that you're experiencing is real, and it doesn't have to like eclipse you, and and you don't have to be fractured out of it, right? So if you're interested in working together in any capacity, please reach out. My website is beyondthisreality.com, because we want to go beyond this reality into our infinite space of expansion and tap into those powers that are latent inside of us, that are hidden in a treasure box, and open it up. And some of them may already be open. Like most of the people I work with are freaking awesome. They just want more. They want more of themselves. They want more out of their life. They want to be more. They want to bring more to others. They want to give more, receive more, all of it. So if you're ready for more, if you're ready to be the whole space of who you are with ease, and to bring that to your children, then go to beyondthisreality.com/services. You can sign up for a session. You can even sign up for a consultation. Like we just talked for 15 minutes to make sure that you're good with me, and make sure that like I feel that I can bring you something. Because if somebody comes to me in a consultation and I'm not the right person for them, I know a lot of people that I can refer you to. I'd rather work with somebody who's going to bring you to the point that you know how to create the results that you're looking for, rather than constantly learning things over and over again and not getting results, right? We want the results. That's what we're here for, is to have the experience that we're looking for. So again, it's beyondthisreality.com/services. If you just want to dive in and book a session, feel free. I'd love to dive in and let's create this freedom and ease as quickly as possible. Thanks so much.